Hello. Well, today is Maundy Thursday, and I've got a little towel and washcloth here. And in a moment, you're going to find out the reason why I just happen to have these things on hand. You see, on Maundy Thursday, when Jesus gathered with his disciples in the upper room, what did he do? Well, it was normally when someone came to someone's home, a act of courtesy would be to have a servant wash their feet. Their feet were kind of dirty after they wore sandals, and they were kind of feet were pretty dirty, and it was hot. And an act of courtesy was to have a servant come with a basin of water and a washcloth and a towel to wash their feet and dry them off. Well, when they got there, nobody was there to wash their feet. So what did Jesus do? Jesus took off his robe, wrapped a towel around his waist, and began to wash the disciples' feet. Since this was something that basically a servant did most of the time, who pays attention to a servant? Who realizes that who's actually doing it? And the disciples didn't even realize Jesus was the one that was doing it until he got to Peter. Peter suddenly realized, wait a minute, you can't wash my feet. This isn't right. Well, let's look at what was said here in John 13, verses 12 to 15. After he had washed their feet, had put on his robe, and had returned to the table, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you're right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Here this was a common thing for the foot washing, and no one had done it. And a lot of times a church will have a foot washing service. And I remember that the president of the seminary that I went to was a retired brigadier general who served as a chaplain. And he told this story that one time he had a foot washing service at the chapel on the army base. They paired the people off to wash one another's feet. And everyone had a pair except for one young man that was by himself. And so the brigadier general, the pastor, said, well, you can be with me. Well, the thing was that this young man was a private, and he was a general. And he thought, oh, no, sir, that's not right. I mean, I understand me washing your feet, but to have a general wash the feet of a private, that just doesn't make any sense. In which he told him, here at this chapel, we are equals. Rank does not matter. And it kind of, in a way, illustrates what Jesus did for the disciples. Maybe not quite the same extent, but still, it kind of demonstrates that same thing. Jesus washed the feet of the disciples. Normally something a lowly servant would do, but Jesus did that himself. And when Peter realized that Jesus was washing his feet, he said, you will never wash my feet. And Jesus said, unless I wash you, you have no share with me. That's kind of interesting. You wash their feet, but again, later, by going to the cross, he would wash away our sins as well. Jesus told the disciples, you also ought to wash one another's feet. Instead of having a servant do it for each other. I've had people say to me, if you had a foot washing service, I'm not going to attend. Because they're either too embarrassed to let someone else see their feet, or they're kind of queasy about washing somebody else's feet. But I don't know if that's exactly what Jesus was referring to. That was a common thing in their culture at that time. washing feet was just a normal part of their life. And he said he did that as an example. It's not something that we normally do, but we do things like we do show hospitality. Somebody shows up at our house and, well, we offer them something to drink. We offer them something to eat. Kind of the same kind of thing. We show hospitality, and that's kind of what that was doing. It was showing special hospitality, just normal thing. Right now, we're not going to be touching each other's feet or any other part of somebody's body. We're not even going to shake hands right now. We're kind of staying away from that. But because of, the coronavirus, and we don't want to spread that around. But there are other things that we can do. The foot washing was just an example, as Jesus said. We can still do little things to help one another out. We can go to the grocery store to help somebody that's not able to get out and maybe leave their groceries on the porch. Or we can maybe mow their lawn for them. We don't necessarily have to interact personally with each other, rake their leaves or clean up their yard. There's some people that maybe not able to do those kinds of things, but we can still do those little things like that. Maybe it's just nothing more than giving them a phone call to see how they're doing, or send them some kind of a message to let them know. We're still operating feeding families right now. It's not in the same way that we were before. The people aren't coming in and sitting down at a meal. We're putting it in to-go boxes, and they come and they pick it up, and we try to make sure we keep that safe distance from each other. And the Beacon is still helping out by giving people food. They're doing it in a different way than they've done before. There's different things we're still doing. We're still helping. We're still doing those things for one another, might say, in a way, washing one another's feet. We've been told that this year we won't be having an ASP mission trip. But maybe we can find some other thing we can do, that maybe we may not have to go to Kentucky or Tennessee and help somebody there, but maybe we can find someone in the community that we can still do some things for and still do that. In that way, we're doing the same kind of things. Well, stay healthy and well, and we know Easter is coming. God bless.